we were talking about how to find the quantum numbers in L, M, and S. And I left off on the last video with drawing the mailboxes. To find M, you draw your mailboxes. Then you have to number the mailboxes. And then we're going to place our electrons in our boxes based on the location on the periodic table. And that will determine our actual mailbox number we assign. It might not make a lot of sense right now, but it will make sense once we put it all together with an example. So M, you draw your mailboxes, you number your mailboxes, and then you're going to place your electrons in the mailboxes. Once you've done that, then you can determine the spin. Remember, if the electron that you're talking about is pointing upwards, you give it a positive 1/2 spin. And if the electron that you're focusing on is pointing down, you give it a negative 1/2 spin value. Remember, the positive and the negative do have to be there. I'm going to switch screens for just a moment to talk about the periodic table and how we number our periods real quickly. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go back to the PowerPoint. I'm going to skip a few slides forward. Here we go. All right, so on your periodic table, you need to know what your blocks are. So on your periodic table, this is where helium is usually, but for quantum numbers, we're going to have to think about helium as if he lives right here beside of hydrogen for the purposes of quantum numbers. Okay? So we're going to mark him all over here, and we're going to pretend he's living right there beside of hydrogen. All right, so this is called our S block. That means all of the elements that live in this region of the periodic table, they live in a spherical shaped house. This is called the P block. All of these elements over here, they live in a peanut shaped house. So our S block, they all have spherical houses. The P's have peanut-shaped houses. Then we have our D block. Our transition metals are the D block. All the elements in this region of the periodic table live in a double peanut-shaped house. And then down here, these are the F block, the lanthanides and actinides. So all the elements here, they're the ones living in the fancy houses. The flower-shaped houses. So S, P, D, and F. The next thing I want to label here is our periods on the periodic table. So our periods we learned are numbered 1 to 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now for the S block, all the periods are exactly like what they look like. These are in quantum numbers. For the P block, same thing. This in the P block, this is the second period here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 if we have elements down here. The D block and the F block, though, they are off from what they look like they are. Notice here the D block, it looks like it comes in the 4th energy level, but they are off by 1 from what they look like. So the D's are always numbered for the energy level 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the F block is off by 2 from what it looks like. Notice this is element 58 here, and he would come in right here. There's 57 and 72. So it looks like they start in the 6th period, but they're off by 2, so they're always numbered 4 and 5. So these numbers that I have listed here, 1 to 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 and 5, and then here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are our N quantum numbers. The blocks tell us, again, the shape of the orbital. So the S block always is spherical. And what that means is for all the S's, L is equal to 0. Because if you trace a sphere, you get a 0. Remember, for the P's, L is always equal to 1 for the P's. For the D's, L is always equal to 2 because there's 2 of these peanut shapes we had to put together to make the D orbital. And since we have to put 1, 2, 3 together here, for the F block, L is always equal to 3. So now we can see how to find N and L based on the position on the periodic table. M and S, we find those by drawing our boxes and then putting the electrons in the boxes. All right, so we're going to do some examples, and I'm going to be using magnesium, iron, selenium, and uranium. So you need your periodic table out and get ready to let's apply these principles that I just talked about in these lessons you have watched. I'm going to sign off this and then go to my Elmo and talk you through some guided practice.